Hello, welcome to Alora Essentials, and in this tutorial we are going to continue building our website. I'm sure by now you've had time to go over the things that we've done, and you've actually corrected some of the things. If you made mistakes, you've corrected them, and then you have exactly what I have here. And basically you might have a different thing. Might choose to import a font, which I'm going to do at the end of the video, to import a script font that we are going to use to make our website look exactly like what we designed. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our design. Okay, so we are here. This is the section that we are building, and it's going to be an easy section, right? Very good. So let's go ahead and then build this. We know we've talked about using blocks and to group elements. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a block to group all these elements. What it's going to do for me is that in the future, when I'm dealing with responsiveness, when we are done building the website, it's going to be easy for me. So what I'm going to do now is add a block. Inside this block, on this block, I'm just going to give it the same background color. Inside this block, I'm just going to have a text added to the block. I'm going to add text to the block, right? I'm going to select the block again. I'm going to add another text to it. Now, the button over there is quite different. It's an icon, it's an image button, but we can do that with our application. But I'm contemplating if you are going to add a button that is going to lead to a different place, right? Okay, so let's add a button to it, right? So I'm just going to give a simple button here. I'm going to add a button to this. Okay, so now we are done. One setting I would like you to take note of is I'm going to go into this place and I'm going to make the display, instead of block, I'm going to make a table, so that it's going to take the shape of the things that are inside, the elements that are inside this block. Now click on the first text, and then we are going to go to our actions. You see how actions are going to be very useful. Adding text one, right? Perfect. Now the next is going to be body text one. Now what we need to do is drag this in here. Let's go and see if everything is as we want it to be. For center when we saved it. So all right, now we are going to add a note to the button because we want the button to come below. So we are going to tell it to clear, and we are going to use margins on the button for it to align exactly with the text. So we are going to use a margin left and a margin top to do that. But before then, I would like to change this button. We can go through the process of changing the color of the button, right? Which I think at a point in time we really need to do, go through all that process. But right now I don't have enough time to do that, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my section styles. I have spring buttons. It's part of the website toolkit. You can look at these buttons and then you can look at which one you want to use, and then you can apply them. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this button be like this. The problem with buttons in that way is that, there you go, we have the button over here. Let's get another button. Let's see how this looks. This looks okay, but let's try another one. We can try this out and see. This is quite big. There's an icon button, and I don't know if we want to do that. Yes, okay, so we can do a whole lot to this to make it look better. So first I'm just going to add the clear button as I did again, and I'm going to add margins to the left, margin to the left, and margin to the top. Then the last one, I'm just going to add float because the float has been deleted. That's why the button it's not down here. Now that we have done this, we are going to style this very nicely. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we click the button. Let's go into our margin to the left. Margin to the top, we are going to give it 20 pixels, whatever you want. Margin to the left, because there's a padding here which is 20 pixels, margin to the left is just going to be 20 pixels as well. So though we are building our design, we are changing it as we go because we want to have a button there instead of that image button, but we could do that if we wanted anyway. So we're looking for margin left, there it is, in the 20. All right, so we have this settled in. Now design, here we've written photographer. Under no circumstance do we want this text to come to the top, so we are going to also add a note to it for clear. What this is going to do is just going to tell the text to begin on a new line. It should always go on the next line, and that is something that we want to do. So we have this settled in, and we have this settled in this way. Now we are going to look at how we are going to deal with the rest of our design. We have this in, and let's have some text that we copied from our copy, and we are going to go into our software, and then we are going to click on putting this one here. Now we only have 2 to make the website look cool. We don't have 3 lines here. You could have as many lines depending on what you need, but I still just want to keep through to I want to make sure that it looks exactly like what we have planned to do. So let's go back to our design, take it all in and see how it actually fits in. So you can see we want it to be a little bit smaller and closer to this. So what we are doing here is reducing the font size. This is what we should have actually done before we actually created our actions, but we did create our actions anyway. Now you can see the space between these 2 texts is quite a bit. Let's look at our design again. We are trying to be as close to the design as possible, so we are going to use the G to measure to look at how it is, and you can see that it's a little bit much. So we are going to use the padding to the top. We're going to reduce it a bit and then give it up to 10 so that you can see that the size is okay. Now with this margin to the top, we can do the same to the margin to the top, reduce it a bit so that it's closer to the text, but it's gone too much. All right, so we can have this in our design. In our design, we have the icon down there, so margin to the top rather will increase. Let's give it like 50 or 65. That works. That works. That's a bit more. Distance around objects is also very important. It makes the website look awesome. That's why InDesign is going to help. So now let's put this here. What we want to happen is that we want our background to be transparent. We don't want our background to show, because we have a minimal website with a few colors. So when we do this actually works for me. I don't know about you, but this works for me. We can probably take a look at the border around the button to see how it's going to work, but for now I think that's okay. We can keep this one. What we could do is that if we have other colors, like this color over here, this accent color that comes here, we can change it to this color so that the website will actually match. Or we can change the color of this to actually match. So what we can do is that we are going to pick that font color. We are going to pick that font color that we had over here, and this is what we'll do. Let's look at the difference. We select this and we are looking for something called the border around them. So it's all one pixel. So we are just going to put in here the color. So putting in the color, we need to re-register. We need to re-register for it to pick it. So we put in the color again, right? And then we re-register one in here for it to pick it. Then we register again over here with a color, right? And then we will register one here for it to pick it. Then left, we do the same thing, left, and then we register one for it to pick it. Okay, now that this is done, we can move on and save. Okay, so let's see if our design actually works better. All right, so now we have a hover over there, and we actually don't want this hover to be there. We want the hover off. So I'm going to show you how to take this hover off. And so all I have to do is just click, go to node options. With off selected, right, we are going to see turn the hover on. Okay, now once the hover is on, we can select any element to see the nodes that are applied to the hover on. We want this to be transparent as much as possible. The color of the text should stay the same, or we can give it the color of the yellow text that we have, and we can save. Right, then we can remember to go back and then turn it off. Right, now this is one of the things that we need to do. So let's see, the color is not changing much, but you can see that the background has been dealt with. That means the color that we used, the color that we copied here, wasn't the color for the text. So in that case, we would need to go to our style guide, our section style, the style guide that we created, and click on this. Let's see if it's the same color, and if it's the same color. It's just that because it's smaller, you can see it. Okay, so we can just leave it that way, or if we have other colors that we want to use, we can do that. Now we can just forget this and move on to the next one. So we are going to create a next section that we need to have. Now before we do anything else, I would like to find out how our design is going by just clicking on this. I want to see how the design is. There's an issue with this, it's not seamless, so we need to delete this. Right. Okay, we need to have a seamless design. All right, so let's click on this. Right, you can see there's a line here that doesn't need to be there. It's either the top one has increased and there's an issue with the top one, and then we are going to deal with that very soon. So we are going to go into our header and then select our header. Okay, there's nothing margin to the top, there's nothing like that. Let's go to our section, select our section. There's no margin to the top, so it means this color is going to go away. Okay, so we are going to create the next section of our website. So we go ahead and then create it. These are images, and now that we are building our website, we are ready to bring in our images. So as you know, actions are always helpful. They are going to help us, and then we can move on to the next things that we are doing. We don't have to stress. All right, so let's continue building our website. Let's go to the next section that we need to build, and this is the image section. So we are going to leave this image as one full section, and it's going to be easy, it's going to be good to do it, it's going to be good to deal with. And so let's just go, I'm just going to add the images directly into the section, because I said earlier that if the things you're going to add in a section are just one or two elements, then you can put it directly in or put it in a block. I don't want to put it in a block. I'm just going to add it in directly. So I'm just going to have my image added. I'm going to have another image added. So we have our two images. Now you can see that they are shifted to the right, and one of the things that we are going to learn here is going to help us very well. First of all, if we look at the design of the website that we are building, you can see that the images are to the edge of the page. Now we have padding to the right, padding to the left of this. We are going to change and remove it. So let's go padding to the right. We are going to make it 0. Padding to the left, we are going to make it 0, right? But one thing is, still we have that kind of space over there. The reason we have that is because the website, the page has a restriction on it as to the size that it can go, the maximum size that elements can go. To remove that from there, what we need to do is just remove. So by clicking remove section wrapper, it's going to remove the section wrapper, and it's going to give you the ability to do what you need to by pushing the elements to the left. Now what we are going to do here is that we are going to align all this. We are going to float this element. Instead of floating it to the left, we are going to float it to the right. Then we are pushing it to the right. As you can see, we are pushing it to the right. So float, 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 float to the right. All right, so we are done with our design for this page. As I can say rightfully, we are done. Now what we would want to do is set the width for this. If you look at this design here, the space here is just little, so we can say 40% for each and leave 20 here. If it doesn't look like what we wanted, we can change it, so it's not a big deal. So let's go. We are going to change into percentage, and we are going to say 40% for you, and then we are going to do the same for you. Okay, so it's quite big, so let's just make it 45%, 45%, and then we make you 45% as well. We can make it 46%. Okay, so 45% seems to have a little bit of space there, so we're still going to increase it a bit to 47%. So width is going to be 47%, and then we are going to make this one to width going to be 47%. Okay, that is going to be fine, and if we feel we don't like it, we can increase it later. Now we've not imported all our images here. We probably should have done that first, but I'm going to import the images now by going to website panel, click on image, and then we click on add. So the add tool is going to help us copy the images. So let's go to our folder, and we know that we are copying all these images in here because these are the images that we are going to use. So let's upload them, and then once it starts uploading, we can just go ahead and then close it. It will upload it for us. Now let's add another section to this. All right, so this is the image that we have. This is awesome because you can see there's still a padding here and there's still a padding here. We can take these patterns out of the way because we probably don't need them because of the way the designs are. So we are just going to move them to 0. We're going to move the padding to the bottom to be 0, and then we are going to make this section have a display of table so that I can take the size of the content inside. It will be in the size of the content inside. So basically, let's just change our images uploaded. Let's see. Right, so let's go and try to see what we did over here. Okay, so we have this and that. Let's see if the two of them will fit. I hope they do. So let's go on and have this done. And the issue is because of the width that we created, we don't have, we can't have them lining up. Well, we can do something else. We can, sorry, I'm working in pixels. This is what happens when you start working in pixels. As I said earlier, when you work in percentage, if you don't change, you can have issues like this. But no worries, this is something very simple that we can deal with. So we are in our third section and we have an image. So we can select the image and then we can go to the width of the image. It's 100 and something. So we get to 45. And instead of 45%, we are going to do 46. Alright, so this is what we have in here, and we are going to take it. So instead of 47%, we are going to make it 46 so that it's actually going to line up with this image. Now, what we need to do here is remove the border radius. There's border radius around the images, right? So we can remove it so that it's actually very square. We can just delete the note actually, but I decided to make it 0 instead. So as you can see, our website is being developed slowly, right? So let's go inside and see the spacing. If the spacing is but what we have now, we have to increase the spacing a bit and to make it easier on us. So basically what we need to do is just drag this down a bit. That's okay, and then select this option and give it a margin to the top, right? And let's see what we have. So really what we are dealing with now is what looks good to the eye, what looks good to your eye. And let's zoom in to fit, and then we can see how this is really going to look like. All right, so really this is what looks good to the eye. That's fine. Okay, so we can continue building our website. So I think in this tutorial we've been able to go forward and build our designs. In the next tutorial we are going to deal with building the next section, which is going to help us quite a lot. Now before we end this tutorial, I'm just going to increase the padding to the top of this one a bit, and the padding to the top of this one to 40 and stretch this a little bit, right? Okay, so I think this looks good and we can go forward and start building our website, continue building our website till we are totally done with the design that we are working on.